there's some interesting things that we wanted to get out of you. I mean, I'm a huge fan of Tesla, right? And I can honestly attribute the reward, let's say, that I've gotten from doing or investing in Tesla because of Hamdy right here. So he's been pushing me. Actually, he pushed me way before I did it. Even before I pulled the trigger, you kept checking on me and saying, "Did you do it, or have you done it, or did you buy some stock? Just buy some stock, buy a little bit, right?" And and then finally I pulled the trigger, and it's just been unreal. And you own a Tesla as well, right? So
I mean, I think regardless of the stock, right? The point is the revolution that's happening in that space is unbelievable. And the saddest thing is what's going to happen to the incumbents, I think, right? So you look at GM, you look at Ford, you look at Toyota, you look at Mercedes, BMW, they have nothing. They've tried a couple of things. That's true. I think BMW had a headline this morning that they're doing an M5 with 1,000 horsepower all electric car.
Oh, wow.
Due in a couple of years. But again, pipe dreams, right? We've heard a lot of stories. Audi's come out, Porsche's came out with one. I think to disrupt yourself is something very difficult for large companies.
And this is it, man. The amount of investment that would need to go in to change their existing infrastructure to be able to mass produce electrical vehicles is a challenge.
It's challenging because the skill set is not there, right? I mean, they look the same from outside, their cars, but the skill set that goes in is very different. It's software-based mostly, right? You need a good system. Autonomy goes together with it. The powertrain is very different. The chassis is very different. And they're nowhere closer today since this has become clearly the direction we're headed than they were 2-3 years ago. There's been concepts, but there's been no execution.
So what is it that differentiates Tesla than everybody's other than they started?
That's just it. From the ground up,
first mover. And the amount of technology that they've developed. I think I was listening to Elon Musk mentioning that what you're getting in a car, in a Tesla right now, in terms of its software, is equivalent to $100,000 right now. He's like, so when he talks of the self-driving concept right now, which they're charging, what is it, a few grand? Now?
Yeah, 5,000-6,000.
5,000-6,000. He's saying you're getting over $100,000 worth of technology in that 5,000-6,000 that you're paying for it.
Right. But if you're those big car companies, wouldn't you think they're going to start acquiring some of the talent that's working at Tesla? They've tried.
You acqui-hire, you buy startups, but you cannot change the 100,000 employees you have to start thinking, middle management, upper management, to start thinking, let's go this route. This is their bread and butter. It's very hard to self-disrupt. The most cliched example is Netflix Blockbuster, right?
Yeah.
True.
Why aren't we watching Blockbuster, right?
Oh man, I miss Blockbuster, man. You just brought me back to the good old days. How much I loved Blockbuster.
The experience of it.
It was exactly
I
the whole
loved getting charged every time I needed to. I forgot to rewind the tape. That was so much fun.
Yeah, that was the silliness of it, dude. You're shaking. Why are you shaking? Oh, there it is.
Oh.
Yeah.
I need to see your hands, both hands.
It's my leg. It's my leg. It's going full cylinders, guys. I'm excited. I'm enjoying the company.
No, but I miss the good old days of Blockbuster.
Big time.
What's funny is that I used to, when I was first connecting with my wife Besma, she used to work at the Baskin Robbins beside Blockbuster, and I knew she had a crush on me. And I used to take advantage of that in my usual way. So I used to get free ice cream. So I used to go grab a movie and then pass by, say what's up, get her to blush a bit and get a free scoop of ice cream and bounce out.
It was a good setup.
It was perfectly set up. It's such a great experience.
Fix all the boxes.
Exactly.
Blockbuster, ice cream, meet the future wife.
But okay, sorry, just to pull it back now to Tesla, because you're saying some really interesting things. Do you think that any of the incumbents will be able to compete, or do you think it's going to be all new entry that's going to come in? So some random company, these Chinese companies, I think, are huge now in China in terms of competing with Tesla.
Short answer is no.
So not the incumbents.
Yeah, most likely not. Historically, the incumbents don't survive when there's a big shift, right? Kodak is one. I mean, there's tons of examples, right? Ultimately, they might just because they're big enough, but it hurts a lot when you downsize. If Toyota is going to go from 30 successful models to 3, that shift might cause bankruptcy. But with these guys, given government interest, they tend to revive. So they might file for Chapter 11 and come back. but it's going to be a painful route for them.
Did you hear about that Chinese company that's copying?
Yeah, I
Tesla?
saw that.
I saw an article the other day. It's literally a copy and paste.
Like what? The looks of the car or
Everything.
The website, the look.
Everything.
Oh no way!
Yeah.
Everything.
Full on.
Full on.
You
You gotta
love
give it to China.
Have you ever been to trade shows where you see? Have you been to a trade show, Hassan, where you see the Chinese guys come and they start taking pictures of the booths?
Yes.
And you're like, oh damn, next
He
year,
just got ripped.
yeah, you just completely is gonna. That's crazy. So what is it like? Are they? They're not using the same name, are they?
No, not the same name.
Okay.
It's some Xing whatever
Okay.
Chinese name, but it looks exactly like the car.
There's a couple of good American attempts. So one is Lucid, which is funded by the Saudis.
But it's different.
And they're different, yeah.
Yeah.
And there's Rivian, which is funded by Amazon. Really? Amazon is super invested because for them, their biggest cost is transportation, obviously. So if they nail electric and autonomous, they've cut their cost base and put them ahead of everyone by light years. So they bought into this company called Rivian.
Okay.
And they're producing Amazon delivery trucks other than whatever else.
I saw that.
Yeah.
And I see that Amazon kind of backed off the whole doing it in-house, right? I was recently, maybe about a month or 2 months ago, where they said that they've decided to kind of step away from really going at it with the US Postal Service and really like traditional couriers because they said it was just costing too much for them to try to compete. So was that part of that strategy?
No, I mean, I think that's just a long-term plan. If autonomy works, I think people have different opinions on that. How far we are from it, I think we're a year. People think it's 10. But if it is 2 years away and all of a sudden you fired every single driver you have,
So what, you're thinking what? In 10 years, how much of the percentage of cars are going to be electrical? What do you think?
in 10 years, 100%.
100%?
Yeah.
Out of production. So
Yes,
anything coming out of
not the existing fleet, new cars.
anything coming out of the production line is going to be electric. Yeah, it's possible.
You think so?
I think so.
The tipping point is when they cost the same to produce, which in theory we are there today with the Model 3 from Tesla
Yeah. The Model 3 and the Model Y as well, which is coming.
and the Model Y. $35,000 car with a 20% gross profit margin that competes with the similar car from internal combustion production.
I think you'll still have fossil fuel vehicles after that point, but it's going to be one of those
it'll be a niche.
outside of the box purchase.
Yeah, like a
911
classic.
Yeah, you want to do a 911, you still want to have a proper engine.
Exactly.
It'll be a small market for it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But there's no reason to produce internal combustion cars if you can produce an electric car for the same cost.
But it's not about the car, it's about the infrastructure in each country. So can you deliver electricity and charging stations?
That's it. We're at this stage now. I think it's available.
You're in Dubai.
Yeah, true.
It's a good point. It's a good
You're in
point.
Dubai.
So
It's different.
Yeah. So maybe I'm referring to the US or Western Europe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
but
that's what you
it'll
mean with
take
the
longer.
100%.
Yes. I mean, you're
surely
right.
it takes a lot less time to put up a charging booth than it would to build a petrol station. So I'm assuming that you could replicate that model of and spread the amount of charging stations throughout a country quite rapidly. I mean, that's what I would.
Fair point. Yeah.
There are countries that have issues with accessibility to electricity. I mean, look at Iraq in the 90s.
Yeah.
I mean, you didn't have electricity, but you could fill up your car.
I think
easily,
Iraq
right?
will be the last country to introduce
Yeah,
electric
no, I don't
vehicles.
think that's not Elon Musk's plan.
They will get it. They will replace the electric engine with a motor diesel engine.
Retrofit it to.
I have a question for Hamdy.
Yeah.
So what is Tesla's end game? So is it
Rule the
that they want
world.
to dominate the roads and streets with Tesla vehicles, or is it to sell their software as proprietary and sell it to third-party companies? I mean, is there a future for Audi and BMW and Mercedes with proprietary technology that Tesla would provide? I mean, is that on the cards for them, or is that what they've always strived towards?
No. So there's no scenario where Tesla would provide their technology to GM and Ford.
And why do you feel that? Wouldn't it make more sense for them?
Because they're
to
already
actually-
making better cars than the guys that have been doing it for 100 years.
I mean, but you can make so many more cars, and
No,
you
but
can
why
make
give
so much more?
why give
world.
away your technology? Why give away your secret sauce? Right? You don't need to. You don't
Well,
need to.
You can have a closed system. It doesn't have to be.
But I mean, personally, from my view, where I think the advantages of Tesla is not only are they creating the electric vehicles, but they're creating the infrastructure to fuel to the fueling stations, right? So they are the largest producer of those electrical stations that you're talking about. They have the largest network in North America. They've positioned themselves very strategically in that regard. And then I guess with some of the technologies and some of the information that they have in terms of like Google, right? In terms of mapping out. Yep. And I think that may be something that they will sell, right? In terms of a software that you can upload in your other vehicle is whatever information that's been gathered by all the millions of Tesla vehicles that are out on the road. But I don't think they're going to sit there and say, okay, here's how you make our batteries. I think that's their secret sauce.
Proprietary.
Right? Yeah, that's proprietary.
I mean, they can sell the battery. They can sell the technology, not necessarily allow them to change it or modify it. But wouldn't it make more sense? I mean, this concept that we're going to live in a world where all we can see are Tesla Model Ps and Bs. And I mean, that doesn't really sound very logical, does it?
There's for sure going to be competitors.
Surely once we get to a point where we have full autonomous vehicles and we can guarantee that Tesla has the most advanced brain or neural network, then we'll be in a position where the rest of the car manufacturers will be in line to use that technology.
I think where it gets much more interesting is not Tesla versus GM, it's Tesla versus Uber. This is where the conversation gets interesting because car ownership is almost out the window in 5 years. If you achieve autonomy, the car gets commoditized. It's no longer interesting. In theory, you just want cars sit idle 97% of the time.
Yeah, so the
I made
concept
up
of
that number.
mobility as a service.
Mobility as a service.
Yeah.
So the point is where it gets boring for Tesla is if they're just producing these commoditized plain cars, and the real benefit is to Uber and Lyft and Kareem, right?
Yeah.
Which I think it actually is going to happen though.
Unless they manage to pull off that end of it, the robotaxi software.
Which you think are they working on this? Is this something
they are, but I only give credit where I've seen the product, which is why Tesla gets credit for the electric car and the autonomy because nobody else has a product. But Uber gets the credit for the robotaxi application because they already have the clients and the customers, right? Producing it is not difficult. Getting it used is difficult.
But can't you foresee like a collaboration? And it would make sense. We give you the hard vehicle that you need to see your millions and millions of passengers.
That's called being an OEM supplier, which is not where the margin is, right? So in theory, if Tesla lose that battle, they become a producer of a car that's being sold to Uber that has the massive balance sheet, takes them on, and they lose the margin battle, essentially. This is the question. The other conversation is not as interesting, right? So ultimately, is it Toyota? Is it that? That might become less interesting because the car is no longer a desired product the way it is at the moment, right? It's not an aspirational product.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's not a must-have.
Why would you, right? I mean, you'd rather, again, pay $10 a day and use it whenever you need it, comes pick you up, drops you off, than have it parked outside and deal with.
True. Especially now, think of it in the current times, right? Like if there's ever been a time that owning a vehicle makes no sense, it's right now.
Yeah.
You're using it a fraction of the amount that you're using it before. Everything's working around delivery. And the concept of imagine, the only issue I see to counter that is that I look at Ubers now as the worst case scenario that I would want to interact with a vehicle. Because it's a public vehicle, right? It's public transport as far as I'm concerned, right? Multiple people coming in, and then you have all this contamination, cross-contamination kind of issues. That would be the only negative. But other than that, owning a car now, like if I had car payments, we were talking about this, and I was saying like, own my cars now. I've paid them off, and I have no interest of getting a new car. And this is the time where I'd be like, I would hate myself right now if I'm sitting making payments and having my car parked up
outside.
Like, depreciating.
Yeah, exactly. Just depreciating for the hell of it.